Hello everyone. So the next topic which we will be going to study is about the vacuoles. So what are vacuoles? Vacuoles are the cell organelles which are present in the plant cells. So what is the function of vacuoles? Vacuoles helps in the storage and disposable of various substances in the cell. So let's start with the first slide of what are vacuoles. So vacuoles, they are considered as a membrane-bound cell organelle which is present in the cytoplasm, and they are filled with a watery fluid containing various substances. So if we talk about vacuoles, then vacuoles are only present in the plant cells. They are only present in the plant cells. In animals, they are very low in number, or they are generally absent in case of the animal cells. But the vacuoles are present in the animal cells, plant cells. Vacuoles means empty space. So the vacuoles, if we draw a diagram here and we see the vacuole, so vacuole appears to be like this. They are large vacuoles in case of the plant cells. So there is an empty space which is known as the vacuole. So they helps in the storage and disposal of various substances. So they helps in the storage and disposal of various substances in the cells. They store the food and other nutrients which is required by a cell to survive. So what they do is they store the food and other nutrients which is required for the cell survival. So this is the main function of a vacuole. Now vacuole in case of plant cells, they are generally in larger size as compared to the animal cells. So if this is a plant cell, the vacuoles can be this much large, can be small as well, but the vacuoles are generally large in sizes, and it almost occupies 80% of the volume of the cell. So 80% of the, because they're in such a large number and the size is very large, so they are about 80% volume of the cell is being occupied by the vacuole. So vacuoles can be one or more in number. So if there is one big vacuole, then there can be small vacuoles which are present in the plant cell. So this is what the vacuole is in the plant cells. Now, how does a vacuole looks like? For example, I have already told you that this is a plant cell and this is a vacuole, which is an empty space. So it is a membrane bound structure which is found in the cytoplasmic matrix of the cell. So this is the cytoplasm, that is the fluid like consistency or gel like consistency which is present in the cell, and inside cytoplasm all the cell organelles are present. So one of which is vacuoles which is present. The membrane surrounding the vacuole is called the tonoplast. So the membrane which is surrounding the vacuole, it is known as the tonoplast layer. There are various components of the vacuole such as the cell sap, and they are different from the other surrounding of the cytoplasm. So the vacuoles have different components. So in the next slide we will be discussing the structure of the vacuole, that what a vacuole looks like. So, and the membranes, they are composed of phospholipids. The membranes are composed of phospholipid layer. The membranes, they are embedded with the proteins and they help in the transporting of the various molecules across the membrane. There are different combinations of these proteins and they help the vacuoles to hold a different material. So a number of different combinations are there for the proteins and they help the vacuoles to hold the different materials. So next is how the vacuole looks like. So this is a vacuole. So this is a cell wall. Then there are lytic vacuoles. There is a Golgi apparatus. So this is a plant cell in which the lytic vacuole is being displayed, and there is a protein storage vacuole that is being displayed. The endoplasmic reticulum, these structures are called the endoplasmic reticulum, and this is the nucleus of the cell. So here it is a vacuole, so it is this large in size. So this was about the structure of the vacuole. Now what are the types of vacuoles? So there are four types of vacuoles which are being displayed here. Sap vacuole, contractile vacuole, food vacuole and air vacuole. So what these vacuole does is, first we will talk about is the sap vacuole. So it has a number of transport systems for the passage of different substances. So the sap vacuole has a number of different transport systems, and a number of small sap vacuoles, they occur in the animal cells and young plant cells. So they also occur in the animal cells and young plant cells. And if we talk about the mature plant cells, the small vacuoles, they fuse to form a single large central vacuole, and it occupies around the 90% of the space, and it occupies about the 90% of the volume of the cell. This is what a sap vacuole is. So the large central vacuole, it spreads the cytoplasm in the form of the thin peripheral layer. So this is a device to facilitate the rapid exchange between the cytoplasm and the surrounding environment. So the fluid present in the sap vacuoles is often called as the sap or vacuolar sap. This is also known as the vacuolar sap. So this was about the sap vacuole. Next is contractile vacuole. So what is happening in contractile vacuole is they occur in some protistans and algal cells along the fresh water. So they are present in the algal cells or the protistans, and they are found in the fresh water mostly. So if we talk about a contractile vacuole, they have a highly extendable and collapsible membrane. So they have a collapsible membrane. So it is also connected to a few feeding canals, and the feeding canals obtain water with or without the waste products from the surrounding cytoplasm. They pour the same into the contractile vacuole. Now in this vacuole, basically the vacuole basically swells up, and this process is called as diastole. So this process is called as diastole when the vacuole swells up in this case. And the swollen contractile vacuole, they comes in contact with the plasma membrane and they collapse. So collapsing is called systole. So collapsing here is called systole. And this throws the vacuolar contents to the outside. So contractile vacuole, what is the function here? It helps in the osmoregulation and excretion. So this is the main function of a contractile vacuole. Next comes is the food vacuole. So food vacuole, if we talk about, they occur in the cells of protozoa, protists, and several lower animals and phagocytes of the higher animals. A food vacuole, it is formed by the fusion of a phagosome and a lysosome. So they are formed through the fusion of both these phagosomes and lysosomes. And what it contains is, it contains some of the digestive enzymes which helps for the nutrition to be digested. So the digested material, they pass out into the surrounding of the cytoplasm. So where does the digested material pass out? It passes through the surrounding of the cytoplasm. So this is what a food vacuole is. Next is we talk about the air vacuole. Air vacuole is also known as the gas vacuole. So they have been reported only in the prokaryotes. So they are only reported in the prokaryotes. And air vacuole is not a single entity. Neither it is surrounded by a common membrane. So it consists of a number of smaller submicroscopic vesicles, and each vesicle is surrounded by a protein membrane and encloses the metabolic gases. So it encloses the metabolic gases in it. And air vacuoles not only stores gases, but it also provides the buoyancy, mechanical strength, and protection from the harmful radiation. So this is the main function of the air vacuole. Next is, what are the functions of the vacuoles? So first of all, we have discussed in the first slide itself that it helps in the storage. Next, it's help in the turgor pressure, and endocytosis and exocytosis are the process in which the vacuole plays a major role. So we will be discussing each of these in detail. So let's start with the storage. So storage, it is a vacuole that stores salts, minerals, pigments, proteins within the cell, and the solution that fills a vacuole is known as the cell sap. So what is cell sap? The solution in which fills the vacuole is known as the cell sap. So the vacuole is also filled with protons from the cytosol, and it helps in maintaining an acidic environment within the cell. So they helps in the maintenance of acidic environment within the cell. And there are a large number of lipids that are also stored within the vacuole. So a large number of lipids are also stored in case of the vacuole. So the main function of vacuole is here is storage. It stores proteins, it stores minerals, pigments and proteins within the cell. Next we talk about is turgor pressure. So what is turgor pressure? Turgor pressure, when a vacuole is completely filled with the water and it exerts a force on the cell wall. So this is known as the turgor pressure. It happens in case of the plants. So that's why this is known as the turgor pressure, because the vacuoles are filled with water and they exert the force on the cell wall. So cell wall is always present in the plants. It provides the shape to the cell and helps to withstand the extreme condition. So this is the main function of vacuoles, that what it does, it helps to provide the shape to the cell, and they also withstand extreme conditions, extreme environmental conditions. For example, there is heavy rain, there is a sunlight, then these all with conditions can be withstand by the vacuoles through the turgor pressure. Next is endocytosis and exocytosis. So what are these? When the substances are taken in by a vacuole, then it is called endocytosis. Endo, which means inner, so the substances are taken by the vacuole through the endocytosis and excreted through the exocytosis. So they will throw out from the vacuole, that is known as the exocytosis. So these substances, they are stored in the cells and separate from the cytosol. So they are stored in the cell and separated from the cytosol. So cytosol, cytoplasm, and lysosome and vesicles, they intake that food and digest it. So lysosomes, they are called the suicidal bags only. So they intake that food which has been thrown out by the vacuole, and they intake this food and they will digest it. So this is endocytosis, and it varies in different cells. So this is how it will be varied in different kinds of cells. So vacuole also plays functions in other cells as well. So in case of the plant cells, in case of the fungal cells and the animal cells, it also plays a major function. What are those functions? In case of the fungal cells, they are involved in many processes, whether it is the homeostasis of the cell, pH and the concentration of ions, there is the osmoregulation, storing amino acids, and polyphosphate and degenerative processes. So these are all the functions which are being performed by the vacuole in case of the fungal cells. And in case of the plant cells, animal cells, we have told that it is present in very small quantity or are absent in case of the animal cells. So if they are present in small number, they perform subordinate roles and they assist large processes of endocytosis and exocytosis. So we have discussed already that endocytosis are when the vacuoles, they intake the food, and exocytosis when they excrete the food or substances. This was all about the functions in other cells. These are some of the references. Thank you.